camera's over there. Hi, do you know what? I'm gonna move the camera over here so that we can kind of look at my dad. Oops, sorry everyone. You may have noticed we're at a slightly... No, do you know what? The camera's going back over here. We're at a slightly different place because I got my new desk today, so everything's been moved around. Hello. It's me. It's my boyfriend Liam. And it's up above me, it's my dad, who's really small for some reason, so I'm gonna make him...
Yeah, I don't know. Hi.
There we go.
Hi, Princess. Hi, Alexandra.
So, I mentioned it a couple of times on streams earlier this week that my dad would be joining us for this Friday's stream. And what we're going to be doing today is talking about whiskey, history of whiskey, other stuff about whiskey. I don't know anything about whiskey. These guys do, though. There, these two people do. So I'm just going to sit here and be interested, not just look interested, and taste some whiskey, and yeah, let's learn some things and drink some whiskey, everyone. I'm gonna say hi to everyone in the chat. I'm not gonna get through everyone because I see you guys have been chatting a lot. I also see you guys have reached the Twitch Sings goal, so damn you all. I'm probably not gonna do that next week because I'm planning to do Alien Isolation next week, but probably the week after. So hi Goosebag, hi Sam, hi Tom, hi Shane, hi Luxury Gay Space Communist, hi Tea Drinker, hi Coldrick, Scroll, hi Jack, hi Byron, and hi everyone else. Sorry, I'm not gonna go through everyone like I usually do because I feel like my dad just sat there like waiting.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, my dad is a tour guide in Ireland. Do you wanna introduce yourself and let people know what you do?
Hi, I'm Dad. I'm a tour guide in Ireland. Do you
That's
remember?
it. Okay, the end.
Do you remember that, Alexandra, when I used to pick you up from kindergarten? And all the kids used to call Daddy, Daddy, because in Germany they thought that was my first name.
Yeah, I've always called my dad Daddy, and in Germany you call them Papa or Papi. So yeah, people used to think that was his name.
You called
So
me some different
Daddy.
things.
So no. People in chat are lolling at the fact you're calling me Alexandra. They're used to me pretty much being called Lolies or Alex sometimes.
I know.
And they're asking for more stories. Actually, whilst you tell people what you're doing on YouTube and stuff as well, because I've kind of mentioned it a few times as well that you're doing stuff on YouTube. But yeah, once I get some music on there.
Yeah, well, I've been doing this for my German audience, and I would like to maybe do it for my English friends as well, or English-speaking friends better. I'm a tour guide for the last 20 years, and due to the pandemic, nobody can come to see me, so I decided to bring Ireland to my people. And I've just come back from a 13-day tour around Ireland, and it was quite an exciting project. So basically, my viewers tell me, that's what you do, that's where you go, that's what you see for us, they're paying for it, and that's basically what I'm doing. Very exciting, very good.
Yeah, that is good. Sorry,
And
just putting some music.
Yeah, I thought maybe I can do Hawaii for you if you like, or you know, camping in Alaska in December, or anything like. You know?
Sure. Yeah, my dad actually invited me. He was like, "Do you want to go to America and do some touring?" I was like, "No." Mostly just because I just started doing Twitch streams myself, and I was like, I'm kind of doing stuff.
Actually, Alexandra, here's something really, no, seriously. I'm looking for an Irish person, right? Has to be Irish, has to be open for the crack, and has to have a couple of weeks, between 2 and 4 weeks. I would like to do a grand tour of Ireland and Germany for 2 to 4 weeks for our English-speaking market. I think it could be a great project.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. How is things in Ireland actually with the pandemic? Because isn't like our stuff, is stuff getting worse again, or is it like?
Yeah,
because
Dublin.
Ireland has kind of overall was better than the UK. That's not hard to do.
Yeah,
to be fair.
well, Northern Ireland is very bad, right? Dublin is pretty bad, and Donegal bordering to Derry. Derry is possibly the hottest spot altogether in the UK, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's
Well, we've
fun.
got a volunteer. We've got a volunteer in the chat. Bren Comedy, who's, are you based in Dublin, or he's in Ireland definitely, but he said his sister, apparently she's mental, so
That's important. Mental is one of the key key ingredients
he says
for that
she would
project.
do it. Cool. So I don't really know, I haven't planned this at all. I just kind of assumed that you guys would just go on about whiskey and stuff. So obviously my dad is an Irish tour guide who knows loads of stuff about Ireland, and so included, like, you also do tours of like the whiskey distillery. So the town that I'm like from in Ireland, that like my family lives in or whatever, is called Middleton, and they're famous for having a whiskey distillery. And so you've done loads of tours there, haven't you, Dan?
Yeah.
But yeah, Liam's been to that distillery a couple of times as well, because
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Well, it was the only it was one of two distilleries in Ireland that were producing whiskey up until 1987. between let's say just after wartime, say around the 40s till about 87. Yeah, there were only two distilleries in Ireland producing whiskey, and one of them was in Middleton, and the other one was Bushmills, which is in the north of Ireland. So yeah, they've got quite a big operation there. Lots of different brands come out of there. They do an amazing amount of work, different whiskies. How do your tours go there, Wolfgang? Do you bring many of your guides there?
Yeah, not that much anymore, because we have so many different whiskey distilleries now.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. There must be nearly 50 new distilleries.
Well,
over the last
I
10
think
years.
there are 33 operational and 10 in the pipeline, something like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
got the numbers.
Yeah, considering 30 years ago there were 3.
Yeah.
It's an amazing kind of fastest growing spirit in the world, Irish whiskey, and has been for the past couple of decades.
You know what has been taking off really, really big over the last couple of years is gin, Irish gin. It's mental. The new whiskey distillery in Dingle, for example, in Kerry, right? They don't even produce much whiskey anymore. While they were waiting for the whiskey to mature, they started distilling some gin just to make some money, The gin is selling better than the whiskey.
Yeah, for sure. Although the whiskey that comes out of there is amazing. It's just whiskey takes time, and there's no getting away from that. So not everyone can wait around for their products. So in a world of gin nowadays, where it's popular all over the world, not only Ireland, there's been a huge gin boom, and there are several reasons several main reasons for that. But it's just been so popular, and why wouldn't you jump on the bandwagon if you're distilling spirit anyway? All you have to do is throw a juniper berry into it and you can call it gin. So it's definitely a good avenue for making some money while you're waiting for your whiskey to be ready, because I think their whiskies, their first whiskies only came out in the last couple of years, I think. So they did wait quite a while, but they're definitely ones to try if you can get your hands on them.
Anyway,
They sell quite quickly.
Whiskey. I find it's a good bridge to whiskey, because gin, I don't think gin is a typical Irish drink or originally Irish, whereas whiskey, as you know, was founded by the Irish long before they civilized the British.
Yeah, for sure. Began as what we consider poaching now. So a new make. So poaching, for anyone who doesn't know, is an illegal Irish spirit. Well, it was illegal up until about 30 years ago, maybe. but it was made illegal because of several reasons. But it's basically an unaged whiskey. It would have started being made from barley, so it's a precursor to whiskey, and you can find it dates back to maybe 1,000 years before the first records of whiskey, something like that. That's what the experts say. But then whiskey, well, you used to transport this this spirit in wooden barrels, and that's where whiskey came from. So the Irish and the Scottish have had this age-old argument about who created it. But I think the records, the first record of actual whiskey, I think, was in 1300, and it was in Ireland around 1300s.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't really matter. Because they kind of, it was the Celtic thing, it was, and the Celts then brought it over to the US and showed them how to do it, and even they brought distillation to Barbados and the Caribbean islands where rum started to be produced. So it's just an amazing kind of story, but it's all where it all begins is on the island of Ireland. With poaching, which is making a comeback now as well. When it became illicit to make it, they started using potatoes to make the spirit, because drying your malt produced a lot of smoke, and you had to be very discreet about how you made your spirit when you were making it illicitly, obviously. So potatoes is an easier way to, although they're quite difficult to make spirit with. To make alcohol with, it's a longer process, but it's more discreet. So it became synonymous with poaching potatoes.
That's why there weren't enough potatoes for food.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where the famine really came from.
There's a couple of questions in chat that I wanted to get onto. First of all, one for you, Dad. Do you mind if I ask the best part of the job? What's the best part of your tour guiding job as aspiring?
Since I hate people, no, people. It's absolutely people. I love working with
really?
people.
I was like, that's where I get that from.
No, I do love working with people.
Okay. And then Luxury Gay Space Communist was asking, what's the base for Irish gin? How is it different?
I don't think there's nothing major to it. Like generally, what the Irish style of doing things would be trying to source ingredients close as possible to their distilleries and what's growing natively or within the vicinity. But gin in general, as I said, you can throw a juniper berry into any spirit that's above 35 or 37.5% and call it a gin. So that's why you see so many flavored gins on the market nowadays that are essentially liqueurs, and you can still call it a gin because it has to be made with it just has to be made with juniper and alcohol above a certain alcohol. But they generally go by the drier style. So the London dry style, which is just a dry unsweetened, mostly about juniper. But then Irish gins will tend to concentrate on what's growing around them, essentially. It's very difficult to be unique within gin. There are hundreds, thousands of gins on the market, so it's very difficult to kind of have your own stamp in a sense, because you can be sure that somebody else is doing something similar somewhere else.
Aidan was asking also, Dad, have you kissed the Blarney Stone? Dad?
Ask me? Oh.
Yeah.
No.
You wouldn't kiss and tell anyway, would you?
No. There's so many stories about the Blarney Stone, what happens to it during the night, I don't know.
Gosh.
You wouldn't trust it.
And your mom also
really gets around.
And your mom also told me never to kiss the Blarney Stone. Yeah.
Why?
Because I talk enough.
Oh, right. That's true. So, Dad, you were saying about you wanted us to get a couple of specific kind of whiskies ready because you wanted us to play a game, right? What's the game? We've got the whiskies, I think.
Okay, the game. We should really have planned the game a little bit. We didn't plan the game because I wanted you to blind taste it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or blind smell, blind taste it. Never mind. Look, you have got 3.
We can still do that. I can quickly run away with them.
Right, run away with them and come back, right? And I talk Alexandra through it, right?
I'll look away.
Just Liam.
Oh, he can't hear you because he took the headphones off. Liam.
Right. Okay, look.
Go on.
Okay, just as long as he knows which whiskey is which. Okay, that's important.
Okay.
Now I just run you very quickly through the different processing of the whiskies, right? Irish whiskey is always and without fail stored or matured in second-hand barrels, wooden barrels, oak, mostly oak, maybe other wood, okay? And those barrels generally come from Spain. They had other spirits in there, or bourbon whiskey barrels, or Scotch whiskey barrels. That's where you get a lot of flavor from, color and flavor, right? And the Irish make sure that no smoke gets to the barley.
Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. Give me a fright.
The Irish usually use barley, right? And
yes.
They make sure that no smoke gets to the barley, traditionally. Whereas the Scottish, they really want smoke in their barley. So you have a very smoky whiskey. And in case we have Scottish people watching, I love Scottish whiskey to light my barbecue.
Sorry, yes.
So in the Americans, right? The Americans don't use barley or wheat; they use maize mainly. So pretty sweet, and they use brand new oak wood barrels. So you've got kind of like a wooden, sweet perfume kind of taste, right? So the Scottish whiskey, very smoky, sharp. The American kind of like a little bit sweet, perfumey kind of like taste, and the Irish whiskey is very mild and soft and in your throat.
Okay. Right, you'll need to remind me when I'm doing the taste things.
Even when you smell them, if you smell the 3 whiskeys, you should be able to tell the difference.
Okay. Have you got them ready, Liam?
I've got 3 whiskeys myself. I don't normally have whiskey at home. I got that especially for the purpose. That's I can tell you by the color. You can tell that's an Irish one. That's a Scottish one, and then I've got a bourbon, an American one.
Irish is in a second-hand barrel, oak.
Mainly oak. Nowadays they even use cherry wood and other woods, but it's mainly oak, traditionally.
Okay, so I'm thinking from just by looking already, this is the clearest, like the other ones are kind of a darker color. So I'm thinking straight off the bat.
Yeah, but the color has also got to do with the age.
That looks like urine the most.
It probably is urine.
So right, okay, tell me what I should be looking for. So Irish is
smell them, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to neutralize your nose. So in between smelling the whiskeys, you smell a whiskey, then you smell a glass of water.
I only have cordial, so it's like cherries. Nummy Numbers reckons 2 are whiskey and 1 is urine.
Try to identify a smoky whiskey out of the 3 of them. Just try to identify it by smelling it.
This is quite fruity, that one. I'll try and leave them in the same order. This one seems. I'm pretty sure this is Irish because you said it was quite mild, and this is the mildest smelling out of all of them.
Okay, put it to the side. Ask Liam what he thinks. Or he knows.
Well, he knows.
So.
Well, don't tell me yet because that'll narrow down these two.
Well, no. Well, I'll have to tell you a little bit about it because I haven't given you a peated whiskey. So, like the Scottish one isn't a peated one. It's probably what I should have done really. So the Scottish one is a blend of malts. So there's the profile of the Scottish one is it's a lot drier. It's a little bit kind of fruity.
Yes.
Like
okay.
light fruits.
Oh, I've smelled them too much now. I can't smell them anymore. I think. Wait, hold on. This is definitely the fruity one. So which one's the fruity one? The Scottish one.
Scottish, yeah.
This is Scottish. This is Irish. This is American.
Well, you see, yeah, they all have very similar.
Am I right?
Sorry, what did you say?
Irish, Scottish, American.
Why would you say that's American?
Because this is Scottish. Because it's fruity.
What about that says that it's American?
Well, you were told to put an American, an Irish, and a Scottish one. Oh, you're asking me like for feedback now. I just narrowed them down.
Do you know any tasting notes from American?
Wait, what's the tasting notes for the American one again?
So if you think about coconut, vanillins.
Yeah, this one, it smells sweet, but it doesn't smell fruity, whereas this one smells fruity. But this one smells sweet. It smells like candy, like.
Right.
Does that, am I right?
You're not, no. Well, this is this is American, but these two are the opposite. But that was I should have put a more distinctively Scottish one in there.
This is so mild and this is so
Taste
fruity.
You haven't tasted.
No, I was told to smell. But the thing is, when I taste them, I'm just gonna taste burning.
Well, just put a tiny bit and coat the inside of your mouth first. and then do it again.
That brings me back the days when I gave you the bottle. Well, you never took the bottle, to be honest. Now you're breastfed.
Okay, too much information for this stream. Oh, I don't like that one at all.
No?
No, it's the Irish one I don't like.
Well, Liam, you're a traitor.
That's delicious. No, it's Alex who's the traitor.
Sure, Liam will drink them all.
She's like...
I'm the traitor, yeah, I'm the one who says I don't like the Irish whiskey.
To be fair, that is super sweet. I don't know why that tastes so sweet right now. But anyway. Maybe that's just me. I gave you the wrong scotch as well.
Yeah, we should have had really three.
Do you have a different one?
Three very plain whiskies, like a Jameson, a Jim Beam, and a Johnny Walker, let's say.
Yeah, our household is too fancy.
So what I've given you there, this is Jameson, but it's the black barrel. So there's an extra char to the barrel. Sorry. The Woodford is the American one.
They can't see that there.
Which is a little bit spicy, and then Monkey Shoulder is a Scottish.
They can't see that there, Liam.
As I said, it's quite a fruity. It's a blend of different malts. So it's just it's a Scotch that I really like because I think it's a little bit more approachable.
I'm gonna tell your mum.
So do we have a
I'll
Scottish one that my dad was talking about? So I can smell it. See what that's about. Got alcohol right behind us.
So this is
everywhere.
One of the more peaty distilleries. It's from the Freund distillery.
Oh yeah.
So we should smell that.
I've got bolognese in my mouth.
It won't matter.
Oh God, that's smoky as hell. Ugh. That smells like a fireplace. Like that's what that smells like.
what
Wait,
I
you're
should have done
putting
was
it
just
in?
put a tiny bit. Yeah, if you mix them, that actually makes for a really good whiskey.
Right.
So you've got monkey shoulder with a tiny touch of Islay whiskey.
Am I supposed to taste
A little
it?
bit. Yeah, go for it.
Luxury Gay Space Communist asks, what makes the difference in the Johnny Walker colours, other than age?
I don't know a whole lot about Johnny Walker, to be honest. I was never a huge fan of the product. I think it's they have a blend. They use a blend of maybe 30
I feel
or
like I
40
just
different
smoked.
distilleries whiskies. So I think the Johnny Walker Black has more of a smoky influence on it. The red I think is their kind of less offensive one. The blue is a super premium. I can't remember what the green one is. The green one is higher up in with regards to premium. I think the blue is something like 250 quid a bottle or something silly like that. But they use, as I said, they use several different whiskies from different distilleries. So as I said, I think up to maybe 40 is one of their more complex ones, which is crazy if you think about it. You know, surely you should be able to use a whiskey, you know, to come up with a whiskey without going through 40 different of similar styles. But anyway,
it doesn't really matter. Johnny Walker is dead. I saw his grave the other day. I did.
Oh really?
In Dingle, honestly.
When did
yeah, there's a grave like Johnny Walker.
Really? Yeah.
I took
They
a
buried
picture.
him in Dingle.
Yep, very dead.
Stuff.
Sam says, I always think Famous Grouse and Johnny Walker taste like cigarettes, and actually that whiskey that I just tasted, that makes me feel like I just smoked. It makes me feel like I just ate an ashtray.
Yeah, well, that's an Islay whiskey, so they're famous for peated
Cigarettes
whiskey.
in there. Whiskey.
Well, no, you to malt barley if you malt barley, it helps to create the sugars that you need to ferment it basically. So in order to dry the barley traditionally, before electricity and you know, using natural gas and whatever else, you would use peat, and then the smoke would get into the barley, and then that would produce that smoky, peaty flavour in the whiskey. And that used to be a thing in Ireland as well, but it just stopped being done. And the Irish whiskey industry just kind of was pretty much on its knees after prohibition in the US, because we stopped our trade route stopped with we used to sell an awful lot of whiskey to the US, and then there was an embargo, or not an embargo, but a trade war with the UK after we got our freedom, we'll say, for lack of a better word.
After you let the English go.
Yes, that's what it was. So they got pissed off and they stopped buying stuff from us. So essentially, the Irish whiskey industry just went down to a couple of different distilleries, which were Jameson, Powers, John Lane, Middleton, the West Cork distillery, or East Cork distillery. And they essentially just moved down to Middleton because there was more space down there, and they started producing everything from down there. And then, just luckily enough, a guy called John Cooley started, John Teeling started the Cooley distillery in the late 80s and started producing other whiskies, one of which is Connemara, which is a peated Irish whiskey. Called it Connemara because Connemara is on the west coast of Ireland, and it's got amazing boglands, and that's, you know, it's renowned for its peat, we'll say. So that's why they call it Connemara. But he essentially revived the Irish whiskey industry almost single-handedly, which is you know, we've got a lot to thank him for. And he was the third would have been the third operating distillery, and now we've got 33.
33.
30 years later. Which is great. It's great for the country, for the whole industry. But so Ireland has a particular style of whiskey that's synonymous to Ireland, and it's called pot still. I've got one here. So Ireland is kind of known for lighter profile whiskies. Reason being is that the Irish distillers who owned the Middleton distillery concentrated on Jameson as their benchmark, and they pumped loads and loads of money into it. So Jameson, not that it's a bad whiskey, but it's a lighter profile, very, very easy, very approachable.
We were there, Listowel.
Yeah.
We actually were. We were in that place.
So Jameson becomes what everybody knows as Irish whiskey, and it's almost the Irish whiskey category. You go most places in the world, they'll consider Jameson. If they've tried an Irish whiskey, it's going to be Jameson. So that becomes synonymous with Ireland. But they also concentrated on what's called pot still whiskey. So single pot still is it's a blend of malted and unmalted barley. And that came about because in the 1700s or 1600s, the UK were taxing malted barley, so we started using unmalted instead to kind of get around the tax man. So that actually produces a much more oily and kind of viscous base spirit. So it's kind of very mouth-filling, very a thick, very spicy style of spirit, which the Middleton distillery were producing several ones like Redbreast and Green Spot, but now there are many other distilleries in Ireland who are starting to produce these as well, which is great. So if you can get your hand on Redbreast, this is the Listowel edition.
They can't see.
Sorry. So this is probably the most famous pot still whiskey. Redbreast. The Listowel edition is so Listowel is a bodega, a Spanish sherry bodega in Jerez in the south of Spain, and they use their casks essentially. This is Redbreast comes from a bonder who were essentially wine merchants in Dublin, who used to buy distilled spirit from Jameson, and they used to age it in the barrels that they used to bring the wine in, which used to produce obviously amazing different flavors, and that's why you see nowadays ex-bourbon barrels are the most the least expensive barrels and easiest ones to get, because bourbon has to be aged in new make or virgin oak. So the barrels have to go somewhere. So they go to the Scotch and the Irish industries. But we also use sherry, because sherry is produced quite a lot. And the European oak adds a different kind of complexity, but also the sherry influence, the sherry itself, getting into the whiskey. So Redbreast has got a lot of sherry influence in it, but then if you add to that the viscosity of the spirit as well, it
what
just
was
makes
the question
it amazing.
again?
I don't know. I think I just started rambling.
Anyway.
No, I just want to, before we move on, I just quickly want to explain, right? Liam is like the quietest person ever, but if you ask him a question about alcohol, he will just talk forever.
Can I say something, please, Mommy?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I saw that you were at, you'd already posted in chat what you're gonna say.
Now, people generally want to know, why is Irish whiskey spelled with an E and Scottish, for example, is not? The Irish are very, very modest. They reckon the E stands for excellent.
Usually. Is that a genuine question?
It is.
I don't.
Hang on a second. Hang on, Liam, before you start. 40 minutes from now.
No, I'm not really sure. It's just one of those things to set them apart. And it's a silly thing to have a little bit of banter over. But the Americans picked up the E. The Canadians, the Japanese didn't. I don't think I've heard a definitive or any great argument to say either work, but it's just one of those little arguments.
I always remember it. I remember which is spelled which because the Irish word for Ireland is era, which is spelled with an E. So I always just assume that they've put it in there to differentiate.
Well, the word itself essentially just came from Ishkabaha, which Ishkabaha is water of life, which is eau de vie or akavite, which is it's a new make spirit, and that's what whiskey started out as. So water of life, Ishkabaha whiskey. Ishkabaha just kind of made its way into a different kind of word of its own, which kind of Ishkabaha kind of sounds like whiskey.
Does it? Anyway,
well, I mean,
there was
the evolution of language, as you say, or words.
There was a question a while ago from Shane who asks, so what makes Japanese whiskey so different?
Japanese.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, the guy who started the Suntory loved Scottish whiskey, but he thought it was a little bit too harsh for the Japanese market. So he's based it on Scottish whiskey, so it's single malt mostly, but they refine it a little bit more. It's a little bit lighter in profile. The flavour is a little bit more delicate. That's essentially what it is. Just a little bit more kind of delicate and refined to the Japanese palate. Great whiskies though, a lot of great whiskies coming out of Japan.
Right. I wasn't sure if there was more coming. Dad, do you have anything else to say about whiskey? Anything to add?
Oh, I think we just leave it there. By the way, in case there's any of my own viewers watching, right? Because I told them we would be talking about Halloween, which we won't. Because not today.
Mm-hmm.
Another time.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a different stream. That was supposed to be in October.
Oh, see, I got confused. Okay, it's a different stream. Well, at least everybody knows it's coming up, Halloween.
It's coming up.
I mean, I don't need to dress up. So.
No, but I will. Yeah, because actually, so for anyone who's interested in the chat, how this whole stream idea came about was, so obviously my dad makes videos on YouTube, and I said to him, why don't you try Twitch? Because obviously I've been on it for 3 months now, and I think it's great. So I told him to try Twitch, and my dad was like, oh yeah, look into it, but I didn't believe him. So I said, why don't you come on my channel, and then you could kind of see how it works a little bit, and we can do it like that. And so my first idea was like, Halloween is actually a holiday that originated in Ireland, so I thought, why don't we talk about that? But then I thought, this was like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, that's quite a long time to wait, or like it's either going to be talking about it a little bit too early, or we have to wait ages to do it. So in the meantime, I think you suggested for us to do whiskey, didn't you? So we said that, and then it was like, yeah, let's do that, and then we can do Halloween in October, a bit closer to the time. And obviously Liam's here because he's my resident whiskey person. Also, he's the one who can show me the whiskies and stuff, because I don't know. We've got lots of whiskies. We've got like, I don't know how many, 40 bottles of whiskey or something? Something like that. And I don't know whiskey. So the fact that he's narrowed him down to like 5 bottles is pretty impressive. Just seeing, yeah, chat is impressed with Liam's knowledge on whiskey. Liam has like 2 main interests, and they're music and alcohol. And like alcohol in a healthy way. Like he knows like almost everything there is to know, I'm sure. But yeah, so I'm sure it's been popping up in the chat a couple of times as well, but my dad does have a channel on here. He hasn't done anything on it yet. Thank you, Tom, for those 100 bits, and also thank you for that donation earlier, making me do a shot. Oh! Actually, thank you for those 100 bits as well. Video whiskey, please. So yeah, I've told him to go on Twitch. So if you do want to find out, want to see more of my dad and just doing like stuff about Ireland, because on YouTube all of his videos are in German. So obviously, I think none of you or most of you in chat don't speak German. So Twitch will be a good place for you to check him out when he does videos in future in English about Irish stuff. I think are you planning to do anything else, or are you kind of planning to do something similar that you're doing on YouTube here?
I want to verify a little bit. Yeah, I'm breaking my head at the moment. I have a few ideas. Yeah. Okay. Maybe the occasional game show with people, right, with contestants where they play against each other.
Yeah.
Like questionnaires and stuff like that. You know, like knowledge about each other and stuff like that. Couples and friends and what have you, like, you know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So his handle or his like link has popped up in chat a couple of times. Streamlabs posts it like every 20 minutes or something. If you haven't seen it yet, keep your eye out. I'm sure it'll come up soon again. But yeah, give him a little follow if you wanna see what's up. Do you have an idea of when you want to start doing videos on here?
When Liam is finished. No, I have got so much going on at the moment, but I'm planning to do something soon. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, surely you've got more whiskey facts for us. I feel like, because I don't know anything about whiskey, so I'm relying on you guys to do the talking here. I was supposed to just sit here and look pretty. That was my plan. Eat some bolognese.
Where's Honey?
She's in bed. On our bed, not in her bed. Why, do you want to see Honey?
Yeah, I thought Honey would be part of it, like. Yeah.
She is sometimes. She probably would be a little bit later when she comes looking for food, but it's a bit early for her. It's sleeping time now.
Okay.
Sam is asking, do the experts both hate bourbon?
Can I answer first?
Go for it.
It's because it's quick. Okay, let's put it this way. I believe it's a matter of taste, right? Everybody has got their own preference. The only time I use bourbon or scotch is to light my barbecue. It's otherwise I find it too harsh, to be honest, like, you know.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, there are hundreds of bourbons out there as well. So I love bourbon. There are a lot of them that I don't like, but you know, I think there are hundreds of them out there. But bourbon is you know, it's based on a kind of a mash bill, using similar ingredients to Irish whiskey, and it's just different methods of doing it as well. So there's definitely if you like whiskey, there's definitely a bourbon out there that you like. Same with Scottish. Scottish is very like the Irish are a little bit behind in that sense, is that they don't have as much diversity or you know, dynamic in the portfolio, we'll say. But we're certainly on the way back. You know, there's
the Irish have a problem, Liam. They're trying to hold on to tradition too hard. You know, if they held on to tradition and maybe had the guts to go a little bit further and keep tradition at the same time, you know, there'd be nothing wrong with it.
For sure, yeah, but I mean, that was definitely the case when IDL had full control. But there's Kilbeggan, I think, have a whiskey that's got 30% rye in it. Rye. I think it was supposed to be their pot still whiskey, but I think the legislation changed just before they could get it out. So the legislation may change again, because traditionally pot still styles of whiskey they used to use oats quite a lot, and amongst other grains that they could find, we'll say, or just there used to be a lot more experimentation than what there is now. But I think that we're going to see a lot more experimentation in the future. But again, it's just a matter of time, isn't it? With whiskey, you just kind of have to wait around and see. It's a kind of a sad aspect to the making of whiskey as well, as you may not even taste the spirit that you're putting into barrels, depending on how long you're in the industry, or where you are in the process. But hoping to see a lot of different kind of experimentation with regards to different mash bills, and using different grains, using different barrels. Ireland have a little bit of an edge as well in that sense, where I think Scotch can only be made or can only be rested in oak, whereas Irish can be made specifically says wood. So you can use Method of Madness is another whiskey that comes out of Middleton, and they use chestnut for one of their pot still releases. They use chestnut. So there's a lot to be experimented with. But again, it's just as long as they take their time with it, and they're not too eager just to get things out onto the market, because that can, the last thing we need is another 3-year-old Irish whiskey to come out. They take time, especially with pot stills. You need at least 7 or 8 years for them to really form.
There's a question especially for you, Dad, in the chat. Is there a German whiskey?
Yeah. I don't know what's the new trend, but a lot of my clients tell me about German whiskey. I've never tried it, so to be honest,
Yeah, I haven't tried any either. But these, I have seen these guys, that boutique whiskey company. They essentially just go around to different. This whiskey is from the Lefroy distillery. So they essentially go around to different distilleries and take a whiskey and bottle it just at whatever. I don't think they even finish them. They just take unique, just at different ages, different random ages that they wouldn't already. Like that one's an 11-year-old from Lefroy, where I don't think Lefroy have an 11-year-old on the market. So they'll take ones like at a particular age that they like, they'll try the barrels and then they'll release them. But they definitely have a German one. I think it's a 7-year-old German. I'm not sure what the distillery is, but if you want to try one, that boutique whiskey company definitely do.
But leaving whiskey aside, if you talk about distilling, I mean, the Germans are known for loads of different distilleries. Schnapps, everybody knows Schnapps is a typical German product, for example. Nothing going to do with whiskey as such, but the process is really the same. It's about storage, maturation, which that's really the difference, and ingredients.
Yeah, for sure. They've got a lot of great gins as well.
I've only drank peach schnapps. Is all schnapps sweet, or is it?
Not at all. No. It's normal. It's normally clear. That's why you call it clara. It's clear spirit. I think it's a single distill. I think pretty strong generally. Yeah.
So usually around 25 to 30%. Lots of flavor from the. Is it usually made from fruits?
Fruit berries and stuff. Yeah.
So one distillation come out around 25-30%. So it'll keep a lot of the character of the raw material.
Yeah, but it's not speed generally.
Sorry? No. Well,
No.
I mean, if you distill something, it'll leave the
Yeah.
sugar behind. But then obviously you'll have ones who will add sweeteners afterwards.
Yeah.
Traditional ones wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really explored much of the schnapps.
Yeah. Next time you go to Germany, try some exploration
sure, yeah.
at the end of the trip.
No, Liam always, whenever we go anywhere, he always like makes a map of all the bars he wants to go to or distilleries or whatever. So don't you worry.
That's important.
He has priorities, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's one of his main
That's part of the culture,
passions.
isn't it?
Yeah. Other people like to make a map of cemeteries they want to see, you know. I mean,
Yeah. Which one do you want to do?
we do that for Halloween.
Yeah, we went to that Listau place in Spain, and it was like we got a tour of the, just like you do in Middleton, you get the tour of the kind of sherry, what's it called? Is it called? Bodega, and then you get to taste them at the end, and obviously like they're trying to sell you bottles of it. Did we buy it? I think we bought some in the end, didn't we? We definitely brought home some sherry.
Oh no, we did in the airport. Yeah.
We did. But it was quite good because I would never think that I like sherry, or because I got to taste so many of them, I was like, okay, this specific one is one that I could drink if I wanted to drink sherry. What's it called again?
Pedro Jimenez.
Pedro Jimenez. It's like the really sweet sherry, but then there's loads of different ones as well. Do you have any whiskey that you think I'd like? Like, is there such thing as a sweet whiskey?
Not really. Got sweetened whiskey. That was the stuff that we got in the States, but I don't know if there's any.
See if we can find a whiskey for me.
Do you know the closest one? Probably that would be the one that I'm drinking there.
The one you're drinking? The Redbreast one?
Yeah. It's not sweet, but it's delicious.
Luxury Gay Space Communist says apple whiskey.
So are you thinking of Applejack?
I don't know. Also, Sam says Athelbros is whiskey liqueur, mix of whiskey and honey.
Spicy whiskey.
Is there a spicy whiskey? Oh, you just read that.
The closest thing to spicy whiskey would be like an American rye, or just a 100% rye even. So rye, if you think about whiskey in the terms of bread, we'll say, if you look at wheat is used for most gins and vodkas because it's very inoffensive, and it's kind of a little bit of a sweet kind of note to it. Whereas rye is, if you try rye bread, it's quite thick. It's got a lot of character. It's quite on the spicy side. So if you think about whiskey in the same sense of bread, as they're actually made from the same thing, that goes a long way with regards to what the end product might be. So if you want like not spice in the sense of like heat, but spice in the sense of like very strongly aromatic and
like there's spiced rum, but the same.
Yeah, well, spiced rum is a sweetened style of rum. So with whiskey, you can't add anything afterwards for it to be called whiskey. So it's essentially a grain distilled, which leaves everything behind. It just takes the alcohol out, but it does leave flavor, obviously. But no sugars or any other artifacts will still be in the in what comes out the other side, and then you leave it in a barrel. So it just picks up whatever's in the wood. So you can't actually add anything afterwards. Otherwise, well, you can, but it becomes something different. You can't call it whiskey, or you can call it a whiskey-based liqueur, or that kind of thing. But I don't know of any, not in the sense of spiced rum anyway. I don't think there's anything. There probably is, I think Jack Daniels might have some sort of a cinnamon sweetened whiskey, but Yeah, it wouldn't. It's not really a thing.
Steel L says, I reckon once the situation has passed, we should all arrange a bar crawl led by Liam and Wolfgang.
Ooh, sounds good.
Alexandra,
Yeah?
great news.
What?
My followership has tripled.
What, from 1 to 3?
Yeah,
Because I was the only one following you.
that's right. It's a new channel. Come on now. I mean,
Yeah.
300% growth, like, you know?
Yeah,
I mean-
and you haven't even done a video yet, so
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Exactly.
There's some hype in chat.
That's going to be a party, I'm telling you.
Big time.
Sam is asking, how do you make an old-fashioned, Liam? You specifically.
An old-fashioned is
Just stirring, isn't
spirit,
it?
sugar,
Stir,
bitters.
stir.
and ice.
And you like put ice in and you stir it.
So to get, it's essentially
Like this?
the first written definition of a cocktail was any spirit, sugar, bitters, and water. So when other mixed drinks started being called cocktails, someone who wanted a cocktail, an old-fashioned style of cocktail, would ask for an old-fashioned style. So that's essentially where it comes from. So you can make it with any spirit. It's been popularized with bourbon. So let's say you put in 2 parts bourbon, a small bit of sugar.
He's asking, but
And
everyone makes
bitters.
it different, right?
Yeah, but there's a kind of a.
But he's asking you specifically how you.
Oh, sorry.
specifically make it.
Yeah, I put we'll say 50 ml of bourbon or whiskey, maybe 10 ml of Demerara sugar syrup, Angostura bitters, maybe 3 or 4 dashes. Stir it down, lemon peel or orange peel on top. Depending on the whiskey you use and how sweet it is, I'll often use a lemon peel. But orange peel, if I was making it in a bar and somebody just asked me for an old fashioned, that's how I'd make it.
Here you go. Hope that answered your question. And I don't know if this is an actual question or if this is like an out loud saying with a question mark. But Luxury Case Space Communist says, when you're using whiskey as a base for something like a whiskey sour, does it really matter what kind it is?
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you think about yeah, I mean, I suppose the best way to do it is to try to do it with 2 different whiskies yourself and try it. I find Irish whiskey is actually really good for whiskey sours, something like Jameson, and that's why Jameson has become so popular, is because it's a very easy to work with whiskey. So if you use something like that, or a bourbon, but I find there's a better balance in Irish whiskey. But if you use a peated Scotch, you'll certainly tell the difference. It'll completely take over. The smoke will completely take over. It'll be completely unbalanced. No, I'm not saying that you won't. A fanatic of peaty Scotch wouldn't like it, but again, a fanatic of peaty Scotch.
So yes.
Maybe you should.
Yes is the short answer.
Maybe you should ask first, are you smoker or non-smoker?
Yeah, for sure. But even so, you'd only, if you wanted to do a whiskey sour with a peated Scotch, I would say use a 40 ml of an unpeated Scotch and use a 10 ml of a peated. So you can find a little bit of a balance there. But I wouldn't go full on with an Islay, something like a Lafroig or something like that. It'd just be very unbalanced, let's say.
Dad, so in your tour guiding job life, because obviously we're talking about whiskey, right? And like it was your suggestion to talk about whiskey tonight. Do you cover whiskey much then on your tours? Like, does that come up a lot, or?
Oh, maybe a day.
And like, you mean a day where you bring them to a distillery and that's it, or
No.
do you do anything else?
No,
in regards-
when I talk about whiskey. No. What we do is whiskey generally, if people are interested, let's say whiskey is not on the itinerary, but people ask questions. So I talk about it. Sometimes I do seminars. Sometimes, I give suggestions so that people can sit together in the evenings and do their own little games or try the whiskeys. Do you remember Storm Ophelia, October 2017?
Kind of vaguely.
Well, but that was the worst storm in the British Isles for 50 years.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Well, I was in Limerick. I was in Limerick at the time, right? With the group. And the group, they didn't know each other. They were hardly talking to each other. Very stiff upper lip, And all I knew, there was a bad storm coming. And I didn't know what to do. So I rang the agency. The agency said, Wolfgang, it's your tour. You have to look after it, So I talked with the coach company. They said, well, as long as I get my coach back in one piece, it's up to you. So I was on my way to Kerry, to Tralee. So I rang the hotel there, and they said, well, we can't take you early because we are booked out. So I asked my hotel in Limerick. They said, you can't stay because, we are booked out. So I thought, for fuck's sake, I'm between a post and a pillar. I need to make a decision now. So we left at 3:30 in the morning, Limerick. I got to Tralee. I asked them for a room without windows and to bring American, Irish, and Scottish whiskey into that room, loads of bottles. So I did it, and on the door there was a sign, Wolfgang's Whiskey Seminar. So we spent half the night in sampling whiskey. And the group, they were so friendly to each other, first name terms and all that kind of stuff. It was great crack. It was perfect, yeah. So, I use occasions.
Yeah.
Depends.
To bring whiskey in, yeah. It loosens people.
Well, yeah, alcohol in general would do that. Do you have anything else for me to taste that I should taste on this whiskey journey? Because I'm not going to be tasting whiskey again after this. Anything special that you think I should?
Liam,
I feel like it.
what's your take on ice in whiskey?
I think each to their own. I don't think there should be any rules in whiskey.
No, not rules, but
this is how I drink it. But that's me. I think it closes a lot of the. It closes a lot of the flavor profile. It dilutes it slightly, which will help to bring out a lot, depending on the ABV as well. But it will open up flavors that you may miss. So diluting it isn't an issue. Drinking it with the ice will close a lot of those flavors, so that you won't be able to pick them up. So I think to get the full experience. For me, I think it shouldn't really be cold. I think it should be warm.
Yeah, my advice to my clients is, if you really want to experience the whiskey as it is, don't put any ice into it. It's up to you at the end of the day. But if you really want to experience the flavors, forget about the ice.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, if you like whiskey with ice, you like whiskey with ice. I know loads of people who do that, who have a full glass of ice, super cold, and that's how they enjoy their whiskey. That's it's each to their own. Again, it's like don't mix this. You shouldn't mix that, or you shouldn't do this with this. It's like, do whatever you want. If you've paid for it, it's yours to do however you want to enjoy it. It should be. But this, that's how that's how I drink my how I drink whiskey. I will drink whiskey in cocktails. What whiskey goes into it is down to the bartender who's made the cocktail. If he thinks that a whiskey that costs £15 a measure needs to go into his cocktail because that's the best way to get the best out of his cocktail, then I'll happily drink it. Now, I may not pay for it because he'd probably charge 20 or 30 quid for it, but it depends on where I am and how I'm feeling. I guess if you're in the Savoy American bar, and you're there for one drink, why not try it? But again, it's each to their own. I think technically, from a technical point of view, I think making whiskey cold does close a lot of those chemically will pull back a lot of those flavors, and you won't actually get the full flavor profile.
Sam has suggested a new drinking game. Take a shot every time Liam digresses for 3 hours. I think we'd all be pretty drunk by now.
No, I think he might mean a weapon.
Possibly.
Oh, this is why I don't have weapons in the house. Mr. M says, my dad has some 65% alcohol whiskey and it tastes much better with a little water in it. Just a tiny bit, but it really takes the top off the alcohol taste.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's 65%, that's going to pack a punch. But that's how it is coming out of the barrel, really. So you can taste it like that, and then you can. That's the great thing about a whiskey like that is you can taste it as it is, and then add a little water as you feel the need. But yeah, as you say, all it needs is a touch of water.
It's very traditional in Ireland, isn't it, to just add a drop of water?
Yeah. But it does. It opens up a lot more flavors, and like whiskies that are distilled to 46% won't use chill filtration, which is a process that takes out a lot of the fatty acids, so that your whiskey doesn't go cloudy. So if you have a whiskey that's over 46% and add a little bit of water, those fatty acids actually get released, and you actually get a lot more flavor from those.
Thank you, Luxury Gay Communist, for gifting that tier 1 sub to Mackie. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I saw Sam. You gotta give me a second. I'm not gonna interrupt people. Cool. Alright. Are we all talked out about whiskey? I don't know. I have nothing to add. Are you gonna show me another one? Are you gonna show me another one to try?
I can.
You don't have to, just if there was anything you thought at the top of your head that I should try. Now's the time.
Alexandra?
Yeah?
Do you think I can retire?
You think you can retire?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh, what? Retire from this?
Yeah.
I actually text you to see. Yeah, of course you can. I did say an hour and we've got over an hour, so that's fair.
Okay.
Cool, well, we'll say bye to you. I'm not going to stop streaming. I think I'm going to play a game now.
Yeah.
And keep streaming.
Okay.
But everyone hype in the chat for my dad. If you haven't already, give him a follow. He is Wolf and Gang in this. Will you just type something in chat there? Actually, no. Do you know, I can link your.
Hang on, I typed something in the chat. Hang on.
Yeah, but I also know your link. So Wolf and Gang. So if you want to give him a follow, if you want to see more, we'll probably be doing another stream about Halloween at some point. Whether that's going to be on here or on my dad's channel hasn't been decided yet. We'll see when we get closer to time. Thanks for all the hype, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Dad. Thanks for the game. I should have won that, but Liam cheated. So
Alexandra, you have always been a failure.
Whoa! Whoa! Where did that come from?
Learn something new every day. Eh?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that's what this stuff does. That's what it does. That's what it does.
Jesus Christ! Fucking hell. Well, that's one way to start my weekend. Jesus.
No.
All right. Well, fuck you. So. Right. I'll speak to you later, Dad.
Okay. Love you. Okay.
Love you
Okay.
too.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye. See you guys.
See you,
Okay.
Jesus. Hold on. So that was my dad. What a way to leave the stream. What a way to leave the wow. I don't even know what to say right now. I'm gonna keep streaming. I'm gonna play some Fall Guys, I think. Do you wanna play Fall Guys with me? Go on, okay. We'll stay on, play some Fall Guys. Hold on. Can I put on this? Let's go into studio mode so I can fix things. That was so sweet. What do you mean that was so sweet? You're a failure? That's not sweet.
So this is the most expensive bottle I have open.